One of the things that I want to talk about this week or today is the teamwork. The teamwork last week was very evident and prevalent in the building. But my whole thing is, when you guys do your job, you allow me to do mine. You do your job, it allows me to be creative in how should I start pitching a family who normally cannot put a deposit down. Asking questions like, how's your credit? Have I earned the right yet to ask you a personal question? And if they say yes, my personal question is going to be, how's your credit? And if they say, it's not the best, I say, well, do you have a score? Do you think it's somewhere over 700? Is it 700 or above? And they said, no, I know it's nowhere near that. Then I already know that I'm going to do an in-house financing, because our finance company is probably not going to take them. Doesn't mean they don't want the program, doesn't mean they can't afford the program. It just means that they're credit risk. And people that don't know you won't give you that much faith. They won't say, oh, I know they'll pay for it. They don't know you to say that. So the quickest thing to say is, you don't qualify. But y'all know that I always say that I want everybody to qualify that wants to be a part of the program. It's no different than anything else that I do in life. Last night we went up to Richmond, and truth of the matter is, I generally stay home, especially on a time like 4th of July. I do not like 4th of July. I'm sorry, I just don't, right? And the reason I don't is because of what I experienced yesterday. It's just people get too crowded, the ignorance comes out. They're supposed to be celebrating independence. Most people don't care what you're celebrating. They just care that somebody's celebrating. And they're just extremely rude, mean, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But we did have a good time. We made a good time out of a bad situation and it just went downhill by the end of the night. Truck stops on 64, Macy's driving it, and everything shut down in the truck. We out there on 64. Sometimes I make jokes about, calling friends and family, and I always say, who would you call first if you were stranded? Mm-hmm. And I always talk about friends, associates, non-associates. And I say, you think about stuff like that, and the first name that pops into your mind, I actually trained on this before. The first name that pops into your mind when you're stranded, that's the person that you feel like you can count on the most. And I know Misa's mom was ready to get on wherever she was at, and it's 1:30, almost 2 in the morning at that time, and was going to come get us on 64. She didn't even know where we were. She was just going to find us, because we didn't know exactly what marker. We just knew we were at Bottom Bridge, that area, and it was right where your cars come on. So my mind starts playing names in my head, right? And of course, first person I text is him or call. She didn't pick up the phone. She left me out there standing out there, so I don't make her feel bad. Everybody, you just don't expect that. Nobody expects my truck to shut off like that. I mean, come on, nobody expects that. But it can happen. It can happen. And I always talk about this because you never know when that day is your last day. You don't know when your last day is. So think about how you want to spend your time. Think about how you want to spend your days. Who you want to spend your days with. Who you want to spend your time with. One thing for sure. Don't live in the past. If you live in the past, then your future is doomed. And the reason for that is because it's a lot easier to harbor bad thoughts or bad feelings. The harder part is to forgive. Because when you forgive people, you gotta move forward. You know what I mean? Because now all of a sudden, you can put somebody could be in harm's way. Me and Missy were in harm's way last night. We really were. We were literally 2 feet from 64's highway. So you know where the white line is on 64? And how the lanes merge in? That's where we were. So not only could we have been hit by a truck or a car coming to merge onto 64, but we also were the truck was just getting shaken like a rag doll by the semis and stuff that were coming. And this is how close they were coming to the truck. And I just sat quiet. Me and Misha just sat quiet, But the first thing you do when you're in that situation, even though you're trying to stay calm for your family, make sure she's okay, knowing that, she said, I'm so happy that you actually came this time. Because a lot of times I don't come to Richmond with them. I stay home. And trust me, I was thinking about that this morning because I'm really tired right now. And one of the reasons I'm tired is I didn't sleep the way I normally sleep. But like I said, when a team is close together, it's not as hard to deal with a bad situation. Macy said if she was by herself, she'd have been in the back seat of the truck, and I don't blame her. I mean, it's a scary situation. You don't know how scary it is until you go on 64 and turn your lights off. Turn them off. Turn your lights off at 2 in the morning, where there's no cars hardly there. Watch how dark the street is. You got things running through the bushes, and it's just not a good look. It's just not a good look. We actually had a guy stop. I couldn't believe it. Because y'all know I'm always talking about people stopping or not stopping, and in what situation should they stop in. The guy stopped. Now, I ain't gonna lie, he had a sidearm on him, so I don't know if he was a cop or just, had it concealed. I don't blame him. When he came up to me, he had that gun like this. Amen. And he didn't let me see it, but I saw his hand like this, and I was like, ooh. Because see, he's thinking, I want to help these people, but I don't want to get jacked. Yeah, right. I'm thinking, come on this side of the truck when I see this hand like this, because my wife's on that side of the truck. Come over here with me. If something has to happen, it got to happen over here with me. It can't happen over there. But he turned out to be a really nice guy, y'all. A really nice guy. For no reason at all, and 2 o'clock in the morning almost, he stops, pulls over to see if we're all right. Like I said, one person. Maybe 500-600 cars go by us on 64. I'm not saying they should have, because I promise you I wouldn't have. I promise you I wouldn't have. You know what I mean? So, but it just goes to show you what type of people are in the world. It just goes to show you, and I always say, for every one person that says something nice, 10 people will say something bad. Yeah. That's just the way the world works. Deal with it, live with it. We've made it past childhood. That means we know some things that we should have put away and leave away. It says something in the Bible about, or I know that the people have always taught me that when you become, an adult, when you were a child, you did childish things. When you become an adult, you put away those childish things. And that's what the team does. Team works together. We got this deal the other day, simply, again, by being a team. There was tension in the building, and we still did what we were supposed to do. We always find a way to do what we're supposed to do. And nobody's perfect. That's the main storyline right there, is nobody's perfect. We can't make people be who we want them to be, do what they want to do. Just remain team. And I always say this, and job related as well. When you do a job, you work at a company, or you do something, and even this company, I don't care what company it is, do it until you can't do it anymore. You know you can't do it anymore because you just don't feel right anymore. It's like something. It's like God's pushing you out. If you don't push yourself, God will do it. I mean, that's what's happened to me my whole career. Every time I turn around, something bad was happening, and I couldn't understand why. And sometimes it's for me to do a checkup from the neck up. And the best teams are the ones who work together. They're not always a group of the best individuals. They're just a group that will work together as one. That's the team that generally wins. And one thing I always say is, ever since I've shaken the fear of people, which was a long time ago, I'd rather talk to people face to face, and so they can see my eyes, I can see their eyes. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to understand I have no fear of you. You don't have a need to fear me. If we start talking about being family, friends, and associates, or whatever we are, we just need to stay in our lane. That's the most important thing about life. Stay in your lane. Because when life is over, it's over. There's no reset button on life. You can't say, well, let me start this all over again. Sometimes people don't get a chance to say, I'm sorry. They just don't. And some people are afraid to say, I'm sorry, because they think it makes them weak. And it doesn't. But with her ideas coming and combined with our ideas, which is what I used to always say, is like, what if everybody had a different idea going around the table? Then you got 7 ideas, 10 ideas, 20, however many people you have that many ideas to try. One of them is bound to work. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, if you see what I'm talking about team, it happened. What do I want most of all? Not money, freedom. I don't want to work for people ever again that I don't trust, I don't like, and have no thoughts of affection for me. Remember what I told you. That is the recipe for a slave. That is the recipe for slavery. And that's what's perpetuating the United States as it stands. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. Be careful what you ask for.